よろしくお願いします。Today I'm going to talk about 4 common diseases that may kill you tomorrow. First, let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Yuichiro Hirano. I'm on the bio team. I worked as a doctor for 2 years in these 2 hospitals and joined PFN this April. So today I'd like to talk about fatal diseases. And the purpose of this presentation is to try to explain how to continue living, how to avoid death. Okay, let's start now. These are the 4 killer diseases. The first one is tension pneumothorax, 緊張性気胸. I think most of you don't know very much about this disease, but we cannot ignore it because the 3 biggest risk factors are young thin men. And we have a lot of young thin men in our company, and they are all at high risk of this disease. So, what is tension pneumothorax? この図を見ていただいて、外側の緑が胸壁、肋骨とか筋肉で、内側の青が肺だと思ってください。で通常この2つはぴったりくっついて一緒に動くんですけど、何かの拍子で肺に穴が開いてしまうと、穴が開いたところから空気が漏れ出てくるっていうことが起こります。これが気胸と呼ばれる状況です。で、この状態でですね、不運にも穴が開いた部分がチェックバルブのような構造になっていた場合、空気は間に出ていくんですけど、戻っていけないという状況になってしまって、胸壁と肺の間にどんどん空気が溜まっていってしまって、次第に呼吸とかがしにくくなってしまったり、血液が戻ってこなくなったりします。こういった状況を緊張性気胸といって非常に重篤な状態です。And this image is a chest X-ray of a patient with tension pneumothorax. The left side of the image is the right side of the patient. And can you point out where the right lung is? Actually, only this area is the patient's right lung, and the rest area is full of air. In such a case, the right lung cannot fully dilate, and even the left lung and the heart are pressed by air. This is a very dangerous condition. So the warning here is you have to see a doctor immediately if you notice sudden chest pain and difficulty in breathing, and these symptoms get gradually worse. Don't hesitate. It may be a tension pneumothorax, and if it is, emergent procedure is needed. The next one is deep vein thrombosis, 深部静脈血栓症. This disease is also known as economical syndrome. I think most of you have heard this name. If you don't move your legs for a while, blood clots are created in your legs, and they are sent to your pulmonary arteries, and then you suddenly feel chest pain, have difficulty in breathing, and in the worst case, your life is over. So the question is, does economical syndrome only occur in economy class flights? Of course not. And to your surprise, it may occur while working if you don't move your legs even for half an hour. Here, let's solve an actual problem of 医師国家試験, domestic test of doctors. 40歳男性、分泌業、突然の呼吸困難と胸痛とのため救急車で搬送された。本日は一日中机に向かい、原稿を書いていた。原稿が出来上がり、椅子から立ち上がった直後に呼吸困難と胸痛とが出現した。身長156センチ、体重85キロ、脈拍120正、血圧90の50、意識軽度混濁、顔面蒼白、胸部造影 CT を別に示す。でこれが胸部造影 CT なんですけど、真ん中の白い部分が、血管で造影剤が白く写ってるんですね。でその、丸で囲った部分が左右の肺動脈で、通常ここは血液で真っ白なんですけど、見ての通り、黒い、もやもやとした部分が、左右両方にあります。これが、血栓で、足でできた巨大な血栓が肺まで到達してしまって左右の肺動脈を詰めてしまっているといった状態です。So the answer is deep vein thrombosis. でこの方は40歳で、比較的若くて、特にその飛行機とかにも乗ってないのにもかかわらず、ずっと原稿を書いていたがためにこのような巨大な血栓ができてしまったという症例でした。So, to avoid this disease is very important. This image is an example of exercise to avoid deep vein thrombosis. You don't have to perform all of this exercise, but it is recommended to do one of them every half an hour and have water. The third one is sleep apnea syndrome, 睡眠時無呼吸症候群. This is one of the most famous causes of sudden death of adults. Usually, your airway is open while sleeping. But with this disease, your airway completely closes while sleeping for more than 10 seconds. As a result, your breath often stops while sleeping. And the risk factors are overweight and being a Japanese. Unfortunately, Japanese people are said to have small mandibles. 下顎骨が小さいというふうに言われていて、so we are at a high risk of this disease even if we are not overweight. There are various signs and symptoms of this disease. Loud snore and frequent nighttime awakenings are often noticed at night. But the problem is, it affects you not only in the night, but also in the daytime. It causes unbearable daytime sleepiness and decreased concentration, and in the worst case, it leads to a devastating accident. So, the warning here is again, you have to see a doctor if you notice extraordinary daytime sleepiness, or your co-sleeper tells you your snore is super annoying. And this illustration is a mask called CPAP mask, which is prescribed to moderate to severe patients of sleep apnea syndrome. But don't worry, if you only have mild apnea, you are only told to lose weight. And maybe the doctor prescribes a mouthpiece. And the last one is depression, うつ病. Of course, you all know what depression is, but here I'd like to emphasize the impact of depression. This figure shows the causes of death of 25 to 29-year-old men, just same as me. As you can see, the number of suicide is more than the sum of all other causes of death. That's terrible. And unfortunately, a suicide occurs every 25 minutes in Japan. So even while this presentation, a person may commit suicide desperately. So preventing suicide is very important. Then, what triggers depression? It is often said that changes of environment often trigger depression. Even good changes are also risk factors. It is also said that faithful people or diligent people with heavy responsibility are more likely to suffer from depression than others. And these are the signs and symptoms of depression. Sleep disorder is very frequently related to depression. The typical complaint is the patient wakes up too early. It is called 早朝覚醒. And patients often have delusion, which means mistaken belief with strong conviction. For example, 在業妄想, I always bother everyone. 貧困妄想, I have little money. And 心気妄想, I must have cancer. And patients with severe depression sometimes have 思考停止, with which they cannot organize their thoughts and have difficulty in thinking of anything. Then what should you do if you notice you might have depression? The most important thing is to postpone making important decisions such as quitting job, divorce, or suicide. And you should also see a psychiatrist, a mental doctor. But if you notice you mainly have physical symptoms, not mental symptoms, it is recommended to see a doctor of internal medicine, 内科ですね, not a mental doctor. Because some diseases such as hypothyroidism, 甲状腺機能低下症といった病気が may cause depression-like symptoms, although they are not depression. And finally, insomnia, 不眠症 is sometimes associated with depression. What should we do for insomnia? First, never drink alcohol. Alcohol is very harmful to sleep. It's like poison. And second, do nothing but sleep in the bed. If you do something else in the bed, your brain easily gets used to the activity, and therefore you cannot sleep in the bed. And third, when it is hard to sleep, get out of bed and do something else. Finally, when it's too hard to sleep, I recommend to consider taking sleeping pills. They are said to affect your brain waves while sleeping, but at least they are much better than alcohol. In conclusion, don't hesitate to see a doctor if you notice something is quite wrong. And let's continue living. Thank you. Is there any questions or comments? Yes.
I may be SAS.
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 Yeah. So
Would you introduce good doctor for me?
そうまあ近くのちょっと診療所に行っていただいて
I want to know good pills and sleep pills.
あ、ピルです
導入されてる何かありますか？
そうですね。まあやっぱり最近はルネスターが
ルネスター、ありがとうございます。
他に何かありますか？
When I was young, I heard the lung, the pneumothorax, 気胸。
あ、気胸。
なんて
ニューモスラックス。
pneumothorax. So please let me know how to avoid such the disease. That is to reduce the risk.
Unfortunately, there's no way to avoid this. Patients once experienced pneumothorax very frequently recurrent the pneumothorax. So only one way is to see a doctor occasionally.
So I see. So when I have the kikyo, so the doctor said stop the smoking or something. So I cure now. But, so there are no way, no なんか改善する方法とかはないです。
そうですね。まあ、確かにちょっと喫煙はまあ危ないかもしれなくて、まあ喫煙をしてない方にも起こるので、ちょっとどれぐらいそのリスクがあるかどうかわかんないんですけど、ちょっとそのお医者さんにまあ言われただったらちょっと記入をしていただくのがいいかなと思います。
How did you pick those particular 4 diseases?
I first considered more fatal disease such as heart attack, but we have a lot of young people in our company, so I picked up diseases also dangerous for young people. First one, tension pneumothorax.
Sorry, sleep apnea occurs to me as like old, bad people.
Yes, right.
But I guess Japanese people, I didn't know they had a higher tendency for it.
Yes. そうですね。Also young people, fat young people are also at high risk of this disease, and Japanese people are more higher.
So you mentioned that waking up very early in the morning is also a problem. So how early is the problem?
These two guys.
Earlier than usually you wake up is
Okay, I see. So
matters.
for example, I wake up every day at 6 o'clock, so it's fine.
It's fine, good.
But no, like, or 4 o'clock every day. Is that fine? Like, for example, it's my habit that waking up around 5 o'clock every day. But if I sometime wake up earlier than 5 o'clock, then it's a problem, isn't it? Or what do you mean by that?
Wakes up too early is a symptom of depression, but don't necessarily cause the depression.
Okay.
So if you wake up too early and have some depression in your mind,
Okay.
and you don't have where to do anything, it might be a depression. Then you see a doctor.
Okay. Thank you.
Ah, 大丈夫ですか。ありがとうございました。